Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us at the Troy City Council Public Utilities Committee meeting. I would like us all to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So before we begin, I would like to take a moment of silence for the five people that unfortunately, tragically didn't make it in the Titanic submersible. So if we can just take a moment of silence. Okay.
Chair,
Yes.
if we could also just acknowledge the state of emergency and the close to 90 people who were displaced today, Councilmember Sorrento, myself, and others.
Mhm.
Were on site pretty much all the afternoon. I just want to express, whatever assistance, whatever empathy, you name it, they have the city council's ear and our assistance. If we could just take a moment to acknowledge that.
Yes. Yep. So, yeah, a lot happened today. So we do have about close to 90 residents that have been displaced today due to several code violations. They are being put up in a hotel. The property manager is doing the best he can to put them up in a hotel, and they are addressing these violations, and we'll be working to correct them. And hopefully, we were told within 4 to 5 days they can come back. So, but we have their support. Any assistance that they need, we're there for them. Yeah.
And they're also providing Uber. I don't think I'm not. They're also providing Uber
Mhm.
For folks who don't have transportation, and they're knock on wood, making good.
Yeah.
But definitely we need to, and the administration and the mayor, hold their feet to the fire.
Absolutely.
Check, no. What?
So the presentation of the agenda is we're here to discuss the updates on the lead pipes project. And we have Chris Wheeland here to give us an update. If you don't mind speaking. Oh, wait, hold on. Roll call. Sorry. All right. Just get ready. Yeah. So Councilmember Figueroa is absent. We also have Councilmember Conley Wilson present, and Councilmember Sorrento. I am here. Also joining us, we have Councilmember Steele, Councilmember Men, Councilmember Goley, and Council President ex officio Carmela Mantello. Also with us is Mayor Madden. So Chris, take it away.
I also have with me Andrew Golden. He's also been involved on the lab side, GIS side, and also our construction side of everything. Since this is such a big task, we're kind of putting everything we got on it. It's taking a lot of time, taking a lot of forces. We do have some help we did hire a project supervisor. Warren Fain was awarded the bid for all portions of the project. They are down on 4th Street now. They are changing out, they go through first and vacuum the valve box to get a definition of inventory of where it is on both sides. And then where they find lead, they do a block at a time, then they go back and change out the lead service lines. Started off a little slow, but now they're in a groove of it, and they're doing 2 to about 2.5 a day.
Okay.
We also have some areas where there were services that go to structures that are no longer there. So we're killing those in the process.
Okay.
Just so that, it's a 20-inch main on 4th Street. That's what makes it a little more difficult. So yeah, if those services ever leak or blow out, then it's a larger problem. So we're trying to take care of that at the same time before they come through and pave.
Okay. All right. So are there going to be, do we know what area is going to be hit next with this?
State Street between 2nd and 3rd.
They're in State Street to River, so River to State.
River. Yep. And then we're going to be doing 2nd Street from the Troy Music Hall north,
Okay.
because that block there.
And those are like the biggest clusters. we'll
There's
say?
only a few there, and it's already been built and shim coated for pavement. So they're holding up on paving until we come through.
Awesome.
And then when they pave it, we're done route.
Okay.
That's the idea.
Chair.
Yes, Councilmember Gully.
Chris, can you tell me how you're selecting the areas to start on? Is this the most relevant areas that have the most lead? Or are we just picking areas around the downtown, or what's the plan?
We are following the sidewalk replacement program.
CDBG, yeah.
Yep, and the paving program as much as we can. It's a lot cheaper to pave a street than it is to dig it up and replace all the services.
Oh,
So we don't have the money to
trust me, I
go
know.
everywhere they're paving. So we're trying to focus on where the sidewalks are, because then we can come through, rip up the street, rip up the sidewalk. We don't have to worry about doing a permanent replacement because it's going to be paid for by
Yep.
other funds. That leaves more funds in my pocket and DPU's pocket to hit lead service lines.
Yep. So
Yeah.
beside those areas that you're doing to follow CDBG ahead of their program, are there other areas that you're also hitting, or is it just following CDBG area right now?
We are also, so the bid, there was 4 sections to the bid. One was 4th Street, which we're on now. The other one was State Street. Then there's 5th Avenue between 101st and 103rd, because that's where CDBG is going also. And then we have what we call the one-offs, kind of the leaks, the emergencies, the high lead levels, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And depending on where the funding is at that point, the bid came in well under what we have for money. So we have extra.
Yeah.
Depending on where we go at that point, I have to get ahead of the paving schedule. I have to get ahead of
Yeah.
the sidewalk schedule.
Definitely.
And then when that frees up, then we can do those one-offs. And rather than just doing a one-off, since it's already mobilized in that area, we're gonna see how far down and up the block we can go.
Right, I'm saying you're not moving everybody all over. You're just staying in the concentrated area. You get the best.
Right now, we're staying in those
The most
concentrated
covered.
areas, just so we can keep ahead of the
Yeah.
paving schedule and ahead of the sidewalk program. We don't want to hold them up.
Good.
And then when we start doing the other areas, we're gonna see if we can expand rather than just going to one Main Street. Can we do 1, 3, 5, 7, 9?
Yep. Can you tell me how many people you've got response from on their properties, and what, whether percentage or numbers?
On the
whatever it might be?
inventory? I'll let Andrew go into that.
Okay.
Hey,
We're
Andrew.
about 34, we're at about 34% on the inventory. We've got 2,600 verified non-lead. And then we have about 1,285 suspected lead, but we still have 8,200 unknowns. So it's still important for everyone to get on the website and verify, or call us at the lab, and we can come out and verify the service. So we just need a little more, response from the public on that.
What happens if you don't get that response?
Then when we go there to do, if we end up in the area for the lead service line replacement, we have to pothole outside in the curb box, and then we can verify both sides, the public side and the private side, from the curb.
That little shut off, we you put a camera down in there to look?
They dig a hole around it about this big.
Yeah.
And then they can look on both sides, the public side and the private side, and then we can go from there.
So just out of curiosity, because like in my house where that shut off is in concrete in my driveway.
Mhm.
So if that happens, you're gonna dig up people's driveways and go down and see, and then
Mhm.
if they're not right, then just fix it, because that seems like that would be a heck of an expense. I'd rather knock on the door and go, hey, I need to see a lead pipe now.
So there's two many portions to it. One portion is the deadline of October 2024 with the EPA. We don't know what these services are. We have to declare them as lead, which just ignites the funding side that we need to go after. In order for us to score better on our financing with the state when they come out with them, the better the inventory is, the better we'll score towards getting the funds. Because right now, if I went to them and I said, I have 8,200 unknown, I have to declare them as lead, I need $70 million.
Yeah.
You have 8,200 unknown. If I come in and say I have 4,000 that I know are lead, that I need to replace, I need $25 million, I'm going to score much better.
Correct. So the importance is trying to get that 82% to give us an answer. But I don't know about, I mean,
You're
I
not
don't-
going
I
to get
can't-
everybody.
I can't tell you guys your business,
No,
but I
think
can't see you going around digging up everybody's property to see if they got lead in the ground.
It's going to happen.
I would certainly think you go right to the door and tell them we need to see it.
So this
I-
comes to the second portion of it, is there's the inside and outside.
Right. The main,
You can replace your service line from the curb box in, that
Yeah.
could be copper. We may have never touched the outside service.
right. coming
So
from
that
the
could be
main
lead.
end.
So we have to dig it to find that out. Or vice versa. You might have lead on the inside and we may have changed out the outside already because there was a leak at
Yeah.
some point. So we really do have to dig. We're going to have to
But
dig
you
around
have a
that curb
record of all the
stop.
ones you change.
Going back just so far,
I get it. I hear you.
you know, back in the day, lead wasn't a concern, copper wasn't a concern. We dig it up, we replace it, we move on to the next one tomorrow. You
I
know,
just
the
hate to see
records
it.
were sparse.
It's just frustrating to see the cost of the project get escalated way out of line because people aren't responsive to the needs. And you know what I tell them, look, if we don't get the grant money, it's going to be tax money because somebody's got to pay for it, or water money. Somehow we're going to get reimbursed, but if you could help us get the 82% under the book, we get most of that money through the grant money. It will save the taxpayer. Somebody's got to have common sense to understand that that's a good deal. And it's just a way we get out there and express it to them. I promise you, I'll be putting it on Facebook and social media through my line. I would say every council member do the same thing here. Because it's ridiculous to only have 18% of the value of the city right
So
now.
we're hitting the population more and more. We had the bulletin that went out that gave all the information, still had all the contacts in there. We're also going to put a flyer in with the water bill. So that'll go out
Right.
quarterly. That also helps us meet our EPA regulation of quarterly public information. This counts as a public meeting, which helps us with the EPA and DOH. So we got to have those going out. We're also working with Relentless from ARPA because we have
Yep.
some ARPA funds. They're putting together a social media campaign that gets pushed out, and we're going to be more of an advertisement that pops up on your Facebook than we will be just kind of on the Troy website, and maybe you get it, maybe you don't. So we are trying to promote and get the word out as much as possible. We're also going to look at the flyer that goes into the water bills. We're going to try to put a specific section in there for landlords. Not every
Bright
resident,
orange, or bright yellow, something
Well-
I have to see.
not every resident in Troy gets a water bill. Like sometimes it goes to the landlords. Landlords could be anywhere.
Yeah.
Name a town USA or in the world, and that's where the landlord might get the water bill. So we're going to put something in there specific for landlords of we just need access to get inventory. We're not there. I don't care what you're doing in your basement. We're not there to look at that. I just need to know what you have for what service. Whether they have a property manager or somebody else that manages the property, who shovels your sidewalk, that sort of thing. We just need to know what that service is.
Sharon?
Yes, Council
Um,
President.
Couple things.
Oh, you suspended.
Yes, I'm done.
I got 3 months. All right, here we go. Double fisted. First and foremost, Dane, awesome. They went right to town, which is fabulous. A couple of quick things. I had talked to Chris a couple times in terms of, how are you selecting? A couple of quick things. Are there folks contacting? I'm curious, DPU asking, when are we on the list? Are we getting swarmed? How is that response? And what do you tell them?
I wouldn't say swarmed necessarily, but maybe 5 or 6 like emails or phone calls a week. Like, hey, I see you're on 4th Street. I'm on Hill Street. We're close by. When are we going to be moving into that area? And then I just I let them know that at the moment we're following that sidewalk program, but the goal is to eventually roll this out in a bigger scale to try to hit more areas.
Okay, timetable sidewalk program. So that's going to end, you figure October-ish, right? September, October. How many do you anticipate? You're right now on 4th Street, you're heading over to State, then you're at Berg. Also, I believe whereabouts in the Berg.
We're on 5th Ave between 101st, I believe 103rd.
Okay, all right, good. That's cool. And where do you anticipate after that?
That's what we're still trying to pull together.
Got it.
We won't be done with those probably till the end of August, possibly mid-September is kind of what we're focusing now, depending on where the numbers fall. And at that point, we'll have a better, hopefully we'll have a better inventory, be able to see the little red dots on our map and be able to get some clusters going.
Mhm.
And we'll be able to better understand where the funding is and how much we still have left. We've told Bain they're going to be working right through Christmas if the weather's good.
Good, good, good.
And
And
they're on board.
that was my next question. Timetable, how are they rolling? Obviously starting out slow, but you feel they're really gelling now?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I believe they're getting in a groove. And they're getting ready to put a second crew on starting next week.
And I'd like to kind of, all of us kind of try to think how I will tell you, I was approached at the St. Basil's Greek Festival by at least 3 different folks. And, they range from young to elderly. Nobody is digging up my driveway. They received the letter. The good news, people are reading it. The unfortunate news, they're really against this. And they're like, especially like a couple elderly people, I've been drinking that water, for 70 years. And another person, yeah, I go down Spring and I get my water from there. And et cetera. We need to somehow overcome that skepticism. What do you think and how do we do it? And Andrew, you're doing an amazing job, by the way. I get feedback from folks. They really like your personality, your, just how you speak to people. But how do we overcome this fear?
I don't know. It's a construction project. It's messy at the time. It is for the better good. And that's where when we made the rules and regs, we all sat here
Yeah.
saying it's the best thing. Who would say no? You're finding out who's going to say no.
Mm.
And that's where we have in the regulations, okay, we don't have to do it, but I need a plan from you in the next 3 months. If you're going to do it, we're going to turn you off. That's my little enforcement piece.
I know.
All right.
We're asking to go for like a lid.
That I said we don't want to enforce.
Yeah.
We're paying for it. There's no reason to have to enforce, but there's
Mhm.
going to be some folks that just, you're not digging up my driveway.
Yeah.
You're not digging up my lawn. You're not doing that. You're not coming in my house.
Mhm.
EPA doesn't care.
Yeah, I hear you. And I think, that's one of the messages. This is not us.
Mhm.
This is the feds telling us, we have to do this. I have someone that I know, and this person is like adamant, and I am trying to convince this person, and it's a struggle. So, same it. Real quick, the folks who have been tested for lead, out of those folks, how many are we finding the public side also needs it?
So out of the services we've been inspecting, the ones on 4th Street are primarily the public side.
Really?
I think there was only down there, I believe there was only 8 or 10 total that were on the private side. The rest are on the public side.
Mm-hmm.
I expect that to change, but the reason that we think that happened is that's a 20-inch main. We don't want to touch it.
Okay.
None of the older crews ever wanted to touch the 20-inch main.
Mm-hmm.
We've shut it down 3 times so far in the past 3 weeks.
Wow.
And
Wow.
we don't like doing that. That causes other issues everywhere else in South Troy. But realistically, we can't care. We got to do it and deal with the aftermath when it comes. When we get up onto 5th Ave, I hope to find that most of the public side has already changed to lead or changed to copper as we went through and did a separation project through there. And in the bid specs, they were supposed to have changed it to copper. Any service line that they came across, they were supposed to change it out to the curb box. So I expect it to have a shift when we get to 5th Ave. Over on State Street, we don't know yet.
Real quick, Andy, do you have the amount that we've spent thus far? No?
We're still
Okay.
working on the first payout.
Okay. All right.
So the first month ended last Friday. We're going to do pay apps every month. So we're still trying to determine the totals on that first payout.
And may I ask, for the public and private, it's about 7,500 or does it vary?
No, I think it's about 7,500.
Okay.
There's within
Yeah.
That's cheap. Within the bid, there was many different sections in the bid. There was concrete replacement. There was, if
Right.
you have to, actually, if you have to tap the main, there was a different cost. It's, depending on what we find inside, some of the meters come up in the back of the house. So we have to dig up the entire basement floor. So they're
gosh.
working there for that concrete. Obviously, that project goes a lot more expensive.
Mhm.
We have money in there for internal plumbing, depending on where the meter goes and how we have to reconnect everything. So there's also money in there for a plumbing inspection prior to turning everything. There's money in there for filters, concrete replacement, blacktop replacement, gravel replacement. If somebody has a brick sidewalk, putting pavers or brick back, we
Mm.
tried to encompass everything we could into the bid, which it made a mess of a bid. But now when the questions start coming up, what do we
Right.
do about this? It's in the
Right.
bid.
Well, also, it entices people to join the inventory and, that's the
We
goal.
tried to cover
Yeah.
everything we can. So when we do show up to do the project, anything that may pop up is covered.
Yeah.
There's going to be a couple issues here and there that aren't covered. And if it's one or two, I'll make the call and get it done. If it's a multiple issue, we'll obviously make a change.
Okay. And then lastly, Andrew, I saw you at a couple neighborhood gatherings. Chris, you've been like out and about at all the neighborhood meetings. I would encourage the council, like if you know of an event that isn't even ours, Andrew will be there with his makeshift board. And have you, enhanced that board, or is it?
We still have it and we're ready to take it back out. So,
Okay.
Billy and I will go to another event and, whenever, if you folks know of anything coming up or if we find
Yeah.
something, we'll definitely go and set up a table and, we have handouts and flyers and we
Yeah.
just want to get the information out.
Yep, we should have had you on Friday when I saw DEC had some fish boats. Sounds weird, but anyway, we should have had you there on Friday, so we need to be more
So
cognizant.
the other thing I want to mention is if you do know somebody that is handing something out, please let us know. I'd rather have them hand out our handout where we know what the information is and we know it's accurate, we know it's correct, we know it's the proper websites, we know it's the proper scan code, the proper phone numbers, proper emails, that sort of thing, than have somebody make up their own.
Yeah,
If we get a volunteer force that wants to hand things out, we will provide the handout.
That would be better because there were some groups that were.
sure, council member, I still got the floor. Last one, social media. If you could ask Relentless, we're definitely getting good play. It's real cheap. Some sponsored ads on social media. There's,
We went over that. We had a quick call this week on that and how
Good.
far we want to go. There was one price point that gets us like 10,000
Yeah.
hits. There's another price point that gets us like 36,000.
yeah.
Problem is, all those hits could be a potential phone call. I got one person answering the phone.
Oh, yeah, I have a
So,
last
I gotta be-
question.
I gotta be
I'm sorry.
careful when we start influxing our staff and our capacity
Yeah.
on how we respond. Otherwise, it's gonna fall off the table if all of a sudden we get 36,000 phone calls in a week.
Yeah.
Things are gonna get dropped.
Just
And we
send
can't have a
them to the
failure.
clerk. Come on, send them to the clerk. But real quick, how is hiring going? I'm so sorry.
We have a project supervisor on board. We did hire somebody to answer the phones. We have a couple of applicants for lab tech. So those are the three positions. So
What's the quals for that?
what's that?
What's the quals for the lab tech?
Degree in science of some sort. I have two applications right now.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Jim?
Yes.
I just have a couple.
Councilmember comment. Oh, wait, hold on. Sorry. Councilmember Goley first and then,
No, let Councilmember
Oh, Chris.
Colleen Wilson go and then I'll open some questions.
okay, go for it.
Great, thanks so much. I don't know if you have an update on this. I remember we talked about having a grant writer. I know that was a discussion with the administration. I'm curious if there's any update on that or any progress on getting a grant writer, because I think that would be helpful.
Hiring or even promoting that is outside my realm at this point. That would be under the administration,
Mhm.
not under me. What I can say is we are looking at, so there is a round of funding to apply for. It is not for lead service lines, it's for water quality. So we are looking at doing some significant upgrades at the water plant for water quality.
Mhm.
There are different treatment techniques that we can use that make the water less corrosive that we're investigating. We're still waiting for one report back from DOH on approval or not. It's costly, but we will score very well with the state on that. And we're looking at putting a bond together to present to the council so that we can move forward and try to get some grant money for that. And what that does is our water is great, but we're in 2023 compared to 1960. We can change our water quality, our chemicals, and make the water less corrosive to lead, and put a different type of coating on the inside of our pipes that makes the water fresher, cleaner, and safer.
Awesome. My other question with the water shutoffs on 4th Street, I know I heard a lot of, or not, maybe not a lot, but a couple of complaints and all that. I was curious if you guys are notifying residents and business owners ahead of time before you
Yeah.
shut off.
Yeah,
Okay.
they go through at least one day, if not 2 days beforehand. Say we're coming up through, when's the best time to do it? There was a couple issues with some businesses, kind of run all day long.
Mhm,
So we said we need 2 hours. When's the best time?
mhm.
So we tried to work with them on that. They understood that it was coming, so they were able to adjust their business enough. It was frustrating,
Mhm.
but we were able to work through it.
Great, awesome. Is there like a place where you can see where those shutoffs are happening? Like, are you guys sending out like notifications or anything like that? In terms of-
Realistically, you see the backhoe coming down the street. You know you're next.
Yes, I definitely saw.
So by doing it the way we're doing it, or
Mhm.
by doing it the way Fane's doing it, is they're starting on the south end on 4th and they're moving up.
Yep.
So if they have to skip a house for a couple days because, hey, I'm going away next week, wait till next week,
Mhm.
they'll just keep going up the street and they'll come back and do it. And then they'll, so they're not mobilizing all over the place. They're just working with the resident with a 3 or 4 day window up and down the street.
Great. And I think I have 2 more questions. How many have you guys replaced so far? If you guys have that number?
About 20.
Yeah,
20? Okay.
that's
And you-
including the outside and the inside, like the public and private sides.
Mhm. Great.
That doesn't include the other dozen that were just services to nowhere that we had to spend time to dig up
Mm.
and just kill them.
And you said there was like 10 or so of those?
Yeah.
And then my last question is about the water filters. If there's any room for getting water filters for folks who may not be serviced anytime soon, or folks of vulnerable communities, or people who have reported, like my family has, my children have elevated lead lines or lead levels. And then I have a second part to that question.
So we're looking at that also. We are in the process of signing contracts with the Clorox company who does Brita.
Mhm.
Brita has the one that is NSF
53.
53
Mhm.
for lead removal. It's not complete lead removal. They won't say that, but it's most lead removal. They are also based on flow, not on just time. A
Mhm.
lot of filters you get, they say it's good for 3 months, but if you're constantly throwing water through it, it's not good for 3 months.
Mhm.
So they base it on flow. There's actually an electronic, a digital screen on top that lets you know based on how many gallons have gone through it when to replace the filter.
Great.
So we're working on those. Rochester actually bid them. So we're riding off their contract, piggybacking off their contract to get them. Right now, I am in the process of trying to order 400 of those. So we have a running stock. They don't go bad.
Mhm.
Brita has 40,000 in stock. They can get us whatever we need within 7 days.
Awesome.
So we are working on that. Right now, we are trying to focus on where we are replacing lead services because it's required that we issue a filter.
Yeah.
So until we get a stock in and really have a plan of how to issue, monitor, if you get an apartment building, 3 apartments and you change every month, we issue 3 to the landlord and say, all right, we issued 3 to the landlord, now we're done. Or every month as people move around, we have to issue another one. So rather than that one apartment getting 1 per year, now they're getting 12 per year.
Yeah, maybe I think might make more sense for it to be resident-based than address-based, because then, I've moved around a couple times.
Yeah,
So,
that's one of the things that we're trying to work through. And so are other communities. They're trying to work through the same.
And with the piggybacking, do you need any, like, does that go through the administration or does the council? approve
That's
any of
just
that?
all based out of the comptroller's office
Okay.
to make sure that it was publicly bid.
Mhm.
The ad went out, so everybody knew it was available. It was publicly bid, so they're open to anybody that wants to bid on it. The contracts were signed appropriately, it was open appropriately, that sort of thing. So it's just a matter of pretty much getting their paperwork. And if it meets our standards, we're good to just use that bid as long as Britta and the city agree to the terms.
Great. Awesome. I was like, heard about that, so I was excited to hear that's moving forward. Thank you.
Chair.
Councilmember Gully.
Well, a lot of interesting things that come up in my mind when I hear these conversations. First, I'll say, Powers Park concerts start on Saturday, July 8th, and you can come up and sit at every event there every Saturday, listen to music, put up your booth. There's 300 people there a week, and they're not always the same people, so you can get some exposure in the Lansingburg, North Central area through that event if you choose to do that. And a couple of bands, I think, like June 8th, we're gonna have 2 bands and a car show. There'll be probably 1,000 people there that day.
July.
So it's up to you to take the initiative to come up, but I would love to have you guys up there. If it helps the process, you're welcome to come and put your booth up and bring extra signs and pamphlets to hand out. Okay, that's first thing.
That's a great idea.
Second thing, has anybody called you guys a claim besides the young lady with the baby that claimed that they have high lead levels?
No,
Because I had my water testing professionally, and I've had a lead pipe in my house since 1905. And my levels were just way low. So it made me think, well, could there be something else besides just that pipe that be causing these levels to drive that high in a home where, you know, there's not a lot of, I haven't heard anybody say to me, except for the young lady who had the problem with the baby, that there was high lead levels in their water. And my question is that the filters are another, and I know the state is requiring us to do this, right? The filters. Why aren't they paying for it? They're requiring it. Why are we pushed into doing it? Because the state really has the funding. They could really do that for everybody and put them out to everybody without that type of impact that's going to affect our residents. And don't say the city's doing it's not going to affect our residents, because all the money comes from the residents. You guys know that.
even if it comes from the state, it still comes from. the
Yeah.
residents.
Absolutely. But at least if it comes from them, we can point that way. The second thing is you still can rinse your water too for people that are really nervous. Every morning I get up now, I flush my toilet, I turn on my water, I wait for a little bit, then I fix my coffee, you know? I mean, not that I want to do that because I really don't have any problems, but I do it to protect everybody in my family because I want to make sure I'm doing the right thing in case there's any scaling or anything that might come loose in that water. So I think that we just got to remind people to make sure that they rinse every morning, run that water a little bit to be safe until somebody makes a decision or gets these filters. The second thing on the repairs, I can understand some animosity with people that are getting repairs because there's some of those water shutoffs are in sidewalks and in driveways and concrete. And you lessen the value of a house when you take a beautiful driveway, you cut a square in it, and you guys only want to put a square, and they got this light colored square with their driveway. And I think that's not right. If we have to do this, I think that if you have to go in there and cut a sidewalk up, you should take that block, not just a square, but take the piece so it looks uniform again. Same thing with a driveway. We shouldn't be detrimentally impacting somebody's value of their home through this process. And that's what I've heard. They're not digging my spot up because they just do a shabby job. I mean, they see the patches out there. They do a shabby job at throwing it down. I don't want that in my house. So maybe we have to just be a little better, a little more focused on the repairs we put in and have a point person that's really on guard for this, because people are going to try to make as much money as they can. That means do the less amount of work to do it. Now, Warren W. Fame has never cheapened the job that I know of. So I think it's going to be quality. But what people are saying out there is they don't want you to come in and put a patch on their driveway or on their sidewalk, like National Grid did when they moved the meters in our house. All right. Water tests. Have we gotten a lot of people that have asked to have their water tested, whether to New York State or City of Detroit? 'Cause I know you guys are running around picking up jugs of water everywhere for a month or so. Is it still occurring? Are people still asking for the test?
Yes, absolutely. We've done about 700 samples so far this year, so that's an impressive amount
Yep.
for us compared to we usually just, before this whole started, we did about 60 for the first half of the year and then 60 for the second half of the year. So we've really done a lot of sampling.
Yep.
And what was the second part?
I wrote notes.
Okay.
He kept going with 1, 2, and 2, and 2, and 2, and 2, and I got like 4 twos here.
I know how many columns in my
So
life.
when it comes to sampling, also note that we've done over 700 samples for $25 a pop.
Yeah.
That adds up quick.
Why do we
that-
refer them to New York State? New York State does it for free.
So that was my first thing under here when you said about filters. It's called unfunded mandate for filters.
Yeah.
They don't care what you do, how you do it. They just need it done. Just like everything else that they mandate, when it THMs and HAAs and 1,4-dioxane, EFOA and PFOS, you can apply for grants and things when they're available. Doesn't mean you're going to get the money. You still have to do the project.
It's just this thing with the state pushing stuff on people without having anything to back up the expense of it, putting it on the taxpayers of every piece of property that they own is just, to me, a joke, but.
It
what do I
is
know?
a concern, but, and that's where it's difficult to kind of come through with the all encompassing. Because
Yeah.
if they did it for us, then they'd have to do it for every other town. And it's extreme amount and they don't have the money.
Yep.
And the feds promise the money, but the money's not flowing as easily as they say it's going to. So it stops. And then the
Yep.
residents hear that there's money. It's a pin in a haystack.
Yeah, and they wonder why you're not spending it on their house, because they don't know.
And then with the Article 8 and not being able to bond for it, we can't even find a way to come back to do it on a private side.
I thought we were working on that.
We are still working on that, but nothing's been determined.
Yeah.
No bond council, the bond council is still saying it's what was done for the budget through the governor does not meet, it does not change Article 8. No.
Mayor? No.
Mary, you're bigger. Oh,
Taller.
it's the wrong guy.
Hello.
It's gotta be my glass.
So the state budget, they included language that amended the local finance law, and it's a very nuanced thing that they did. They added a period of probable usefulness if you replace lead service lines. That does not correct the problem that was originally there. They said, they're essentially saying, well, if you can bond for it, it's good for 30 years. That doesn't mean you can bond for it. They added it to a section that if it's permissible, this is how long you can issue it for, but they never directly addressed the constitutional issue. So our bond counsel has reviewed it and it is, in his opinion, no good.
So why isn't somebody fighting harder against this and going back and say, hey, you showed us a balloon, but you put it outside the window here. How do we make this happen?
We have told the legislature what on Jenica and King has replied to us.
Thank you.
What I can say is all water systems in New York are looking at that because every water system, once that's approved, the bonds are gonna go through the roof because they all have to fund it and nobody can.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Chair. Yeah, Councilmember Van. Wait, are you?
I'm
thank
done.
you.
Thank you for.
He might be, but I still have his number 2 and number
Okay,
3 and number
yes.
4
Go
here
ahead.
too. to hit. So when you're talking about the lead service line, you're talking about the numbers, the results of the lead service line. We've done samples on copper lines. We've done samples on lead service lines. We've done first draw, fifth draw, 2-minute flush. What we're finding is even a service with copper coming into the house, the first draw is still above the limit for lead.
Because it's pipe dreams.
It's either the pipes or the faucets. We have to remember, it was only 10 years ago that they took lead out of brass. Every faucet is brass. If you have an old faucet, I would say older than 10 years old, you have lead in that faucet. So every time you take a drink, it has nothing to do with the service line. It has something to do with that faucet that you're touching right there. Because it's all unlined brass in that and the lead leaches right out of that.
Sorry, guys, to call Barb, Raleigh.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, she wanted her kitchen reminded.
Yeah.
Keep it quiet. Turn that.
So-
thing off.
Conference caller.
Our results are all over the place and we are doing
I
samples,
can imagine. It's all
follow-up
different.
samples, and we're finding crazy results everywhere. So we have a few areas that we are trying to focus on so we can get answers like that and what's actually occurring in the water.
Okay.
Driveway and concrete, I fully get it. It shouldn't stop us though. It's got to get done. It's a construction project. It is annoying. The residents on 4th Street, they're letting us do it, but I know they're annoyed. It's dusty, it's dirty, it's loud. Their streets ripped up. but they understand it's for the better good. So they're just kind of like looking the other way and letting it happen. Luckily, there hasn't been too many parking issues. Dane's been working good on just doing one side in a day and then moving the parking signs and doing the other side. So they're trying to limit their impact in the neighborhood as much as possible. And they're working with the residents. You know, the residents are coming out. They might have a car there. Like, oh, I'll move. I will. No, you're all right. We won't be up that far today. Or if you're out of here by 1 o'clock, you're fine. So it's a lot of communication from the
Good.
contractor too. And our project supervisor is on the site all day, every day. So if there is an issue, he is a city rep on site to answer questions.
All right, so let me hold you right there and ask you, what is the procedure for patching sidewalks and driveways? Are you just gonna put a patch mark on their property? Or are you gonna take the square and just replace the square to make it right? What's gonna be the level of professionalism we use in these repairs?
Right now, I'm going to say I'm not worried about it because where we are is going to be paved and it's going to be new sidewalks.
We're
When we
come
start
across when it's
moving,
not.
yes. So when we start moving into that, we're gonna have to come up with a plan for it. Again, I'm shotgunning this. So it's gonna be what's there. Is it a ratty old sidewalk that she's gonna want a whole new sidewalk and it's really not our fault because, yeah, we're gonna take off this panel. I never touched that and it's all falling apart. Is it a blacktop sidewalk that's not really permissible by code that we have to rip up? Are we put blacktop back? Or are we gonna put concrete back per code? And she's gonna stuck with the rest of a blacktop sidewalk. There's a lot of different scenarios that can go on when you actually get out in the field. And a lot of them are gonna be kind of, what do we got today?
Not consistent.
Are they grandfathered in if they have a blacktop sidewalk?
I'd have to ask code.
I would
I
hope it would, so
don't
you're just
think
patching
they
the
are.
blacktop, not.
Even I have to, even if we take out a panel, a blacktop panel, to redo the curb
Yeah.
stop, we have to come back at some point and put concrete back. We're lacking a few years on that because we don't have the people or
Yeah.
the money, but we
I
have to
get
come
it.
back at some point and put
Yeah.
concrete back.
Chair.
Are you
Not
all?
all of them?
I think that was all.
I think I'm done.
Okay. Councilmember Men.
As you've been going through, in terms of curb stops, because obviously 4th Street, you've got 28 inch main,
20-inch main.
20 inch. How are you finding the state of the curb stops? In terms of, are they shutting off? Are they where you need them to be? Or do you have to also do the replacement of the curb stop at the same time?
Trying to think how in depth I want to get.
I mean, I can go all the way, but I am aware that other people.
Yeah, so there is what we call a curb stop and what we call a bullhead.
Mhm.
The curb stop is what's actually in the curb where the private and public terminates in the curb line.
Okay.
Those we're finding are in good shape. We can't reuse them because once we disconnect them, they're shot and we have to replace them. So we're replacing them as we go. We're also replacing the access point,
Mhm.
the valve box.
Mhm.
That's all in the bid. There is also the bullhead, and that's how they connect to the main. Now, back in the day, there was driven bullheads and there is threaded bullheads.
Mhm.
The driven ones where they drilled the hole and just pounded it in there, and then the threaded ones you actually thread in. The driven ones have a tendency, once you touch them, to fly out. So if we come across a driven bullhead, it's coming out. All right, we pull it out, we plug it, we put a wraparound on the main, and then we tap a new service for that house. If there is a threaded bullhead, we are allowing them to reuse it if it's not leaking.
Mhm.
We are finding about 25% of them are leaking.
Okay.
What you try to do with that is like any valve in your house. If it's leaking, you try to put a little tick on it, and hopefully it stops dripping. Out of the 25% that are leaking, we're replacing probably 50% of them, which means another shutdown in the main, pull it out, wrap around, tap a new main. Now, the other thing that's concerning with that is we have a 20-inch main that runs down there. Now I have taps every 5 feet. What do you think happens?
Mhm.
Fractures from tap to tap. And we're going to pave the road, which means they're going to put vibrating rollers on there. So it's going to be a busy winter.
Yeah. Oh. So I think we should probably anticipate making the public aware that newly paved streets may, yes, they may be torn up again, and there is method to the madness because it's don't touch the plumbing.
Pretty much. Once you
It's
touch
vibrating.
that type of plumbing, it's going to leak,
Yep.
cause other problems.
Yep. Oh God, I know too well. in terms of communication strategy and how council can help you in working in partnership with the administration, because obviously we will get phone calls from people. You know, where would you like us to go? If we're getting a call from a resident, where would you like us to go first to get accurate, up-to-date information to pass back?
To our lab.
Okay,
That is kind of our phone call hub.
Andrew, it's you.
Yep, they're right across the hall from me, so we communicate a lot. I'm over there a lot, and we
What's-
kind of work together on that project.
What's the best phone number for us to call?
518-237-0343.
Thank you very much.
And if they don't get an answer at that time, all the questions that come into that, we knock around once a week. And we get back to residents with answers.
Yeah, I'm just anticipating, especially Second River State in the middle of summer with the number of events and outside dining and all that good stuff going on. I'm happy to help in whatever capacity.
We're also trying to do it a little bit different than AGI. We're trying to get the word out before we actually close the street.
Amazing.
We're trying to. But yeah, it's downtown's a mess. I get it.
Yeah,
You
and I
can't
know
drive through there during the day.
and we did just pave Second Street from River to State, so.
Yep.
I'll try to get ahead of that. But the other thing in this, I just want to bring this to council as a potential idea, because I think it would fall possibly under our purview is, you know, if we're finding resistance in people doing inventory, you know, maybe one of the incentives carrot stick that we could offer is if someone is coming to code enforcement to get a permit to do something, that they have to have either reported in line or at least made that phone call to get on the list. Possibly the clerk's office for things like can't get married until you call. And if we really want to get bold, I know. And maybe if we really want to get bold,
Not a bad idea.
for people who have gotten a parking or traffic ticket, if they have reported in their line, that might be forgivable.
I think that's considered a gift. I think that's a ethics.
Although our council does negotiate down contracts. Something to think about and run by corporate council. Or not.
We'll think of some ideas along those lines, go around internally and see what we can
Yeah, I mean,
come
if
back
there's,
as viable.
if there's other points of contact that,
Yeah.
like, you're doing it with the billing and the communication strategy, which is really good. But if there are other points of contact where people come into the building, needing something, and even just being given the information at that point of contact, you know, but, yeah, and thank you for the information about faucets as well. So basically faucets after 2010 are pretty safe for the most part.
Yep.
All right.
So I received a text. So how about the residents that have been built? So I'm thinking homes that have been built after the lead pipes were no longer installed. Are they eliminated in the inventory?
So what I'm hearing is I have a copper service. Do I need to inventory? Yes, you need to inventory. I need to know it's copper.
Okay.
If I can't say that it's copper, I have to say that it's lead. And that's one of the things that we're fighting is I have copper. I'm not worried about it. Now, you might not be worried about it, but if I don't know about it, DPU doesn't know about it. We have to declare it as lead.
Okay.
And we're going to come through and dig it up to find out.
I mean, wouldn't you already know though, if they have to hook up their water line anyways?
So there's a couple things when you start talking about timeframes
Yeah.
of when buildings were built. There's certain neighborhoods that if we know the neighborhood was built in a certain time frame, and the first two houses, the last two houses are copper, we can therefore say the rest of the neighborhood is copper.
Okay.
For the specific here, there, over there, we don't have a dead set legislation that was passed of lead service lines will no longer be used in the city of Troy. So I don't have a date of when residents stopped using lead service lines.
Okay.
Mm.
All
If
right.
we had legislation that said, you know, in May of 1960, the city declared that lead service lines are illegal, no lead service lines are to be installed after that date, we could say any construction after is lead.
Yeah.
Anything prior is not. We don't have that information.
Thank you. Does anybody else have a question? And Council Member Figueroa, who's also on our committee, just arrived.
Chair,
Yes,
just,
Councilmember Mann.
just an observation. I put a whole house filter that has the lead filter in one of my buildings that has a lead line that is not on the schedule to be replaced anytime soon, and it has the curb stop that won't fully shut off. And what I found is, just for the general public, is costs about $250. Home Depot filters are about 35. I have 10 people in the building using that. I found the filter lasted about a month before water pressure dropped. So if people are looking at that as an option for their own home, that's some of the stats that, you know,
I would suggest more of a point of use filter.
Yeah.
Either the pitcher, or you can even, like, if you have an old soap dispenser, you can make that the tap.
Yep.
For water, and it's just for drinking.
yep,
Use that just for drinking water to remove lead. That way you're not taking the lead out of everything in your house and spending, absorbing them out for things that lead water can go through your toilet.
Yep.
And it's really only the first flush. After that first 2 minutes, after it sits for 6 hours, you're fine. Once you flush it.
Yeah.
But it's getting that first slug of water out of your pipes, and then you're okay.
thanks.
So this just actually brought a question up. Now refrigerators with the water connected to them, should they run that also, do you think? Do you recommend them running that?
It's awkward to say because they're
Okay.
all a little bit different. Some just have ice makers, some have the ice and the water.
Yeah,
some
the
just
ice
go-
and the
they're
water,
all
like-
a little bit different. They
Yeah.
all have filters on them. What I would suggest for those, if people are concerned, since you don't know when the water is running into your ice maker, you don't know when the last time that slug came through, you don't know if you flushed the lines before it came through,
Okay.
check with the manufacturer and see if they make a filter that is approved for lead.
Okay.
If there's a concern there.
I just thought of that. Yeah. Thank you. Does anybody else have any questions?
One last one.
Council
Chair,
Council Pass.
so the folks who have tested positive, do we know how high the lead contents are? And I get that we want to do in bulk, but I do feel, in a household, if my children, obviously they're older now, but they're still there, but young children, if there is a high lead content, is there a way that we can potentially deviate from our bulk cluster and hit some of these high lead content homes for families? and-
So our bulk
kids.
cluster, we're looking at that now, and that's why we need the inventory. I need to find out, I need a way to find out who has those high lead levels. Specifically in the blood, specifically for water.
Do we
Um,
have a list right
no.
now? None. Why none? I mean, we
People
do.
need to report it to us. It's not a reportable cost.
Oh,
can't-
so the lead content's not reportable.
So
We just
Just
know if
because
there's
there's
lead
in
or.
your water doesn't mean that if there's lead in your system.
Okay.
In your human body. So there's multiple facets that we are trying to accommodate so that when we get into those one-offs and we have a little extra money, that I can hit clusters like that.
Yes.
So those that are the emergencies that have a physical health issue because of it, if we do their house, more than likely their neighbors have lead.
Hmm.
Across the street has lead. If we're gonna mobilize a crew to that one site, I might as well take in a certain amount and change out the whole block and call it a day, rather than just going up for
Yeah.
one site and then moving to another site.
So
But that's gonna be.
Have we gotten any calls from families who do have high lead in their system? Have we received any calls to date?
I know a couple.
You
I
do.
know of a couple, but not a lot, just a few.
Chair?
No,
Oh, I'm done.
You're
Thank
done.
you.
Okay.
So
Councilman.
yeah, I've also heard of
Concerning.
folks who have reported elevated lead levels either in their kids or in their water when they've tested it, what information do you need to have that set as a priority list?
One, we need to know if there's a direct health issue. And, I know of a couple that have offered it. I can't go out and ask for it. Health Department won't give it to me. When the health department comes in, they will go through there is an instance of a child with a high lead level. The health department will do an audit on that. And most of the time, talking to the health department, they find that it's from other surfaces, lead paint, that sort of thing. They don't even test the water. I think they're starting to add now to their checklist if it's a lead service line, and they try to let us know. We are also working with code enforcement when they do inspections to find out if there's a lead service line. But we need to know, realistically, if there is a health issue or not, if we're going to make it a priority. Obviously, if somebody comes in, we have a few services that come in that have 100 parts per billion of lead in the water. That's going to put it up on our list compared to somebody that's 16 parts per billion, just over the limit. So it kind of depends. Right now, we're looking kind of where our sampling falls. Yeah. But that's what we're going to try to zero in on that. So when we get ahead of the sidewalk program and paving program come September, then we can go hit those areas. So that's something that we're still trying to develop. Again, we need the inventory so we can get our clusters and our priorities going.
So what you need is how many parts per billion are in the water and if there is a direct health issue. So if there was an elevated lead level that they got.
If they could divulge that to us, that would be fantastic.
Chair, I'm so sorry.
Council President.
And we can obviously say this is confidential. I mean, obviously, that's,
Yeah, we're not going to report that. If it comes back if you come back to me and say how many cases, I'll say, 7, 10, 40 cases, whatever it may be, but no addresses or names.
Yep.
All right. Anybody else have any questions?
I would, Chair, just suggest maybe every other month or
Yeah.
every 3 months an update.
Yeah.
All right.
And that will be good on your end too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Public meetings.
Chair, so you do have a couple of folks.
Yep.
you-
Oh,
Got it.
yeah. I wanted to get this,
Yeah.
because then they
Nope.
might have more questions.
Yep.
So,
Perfect.
all right. Well, thank you, Chris. And thank you, Andrew.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
All right. I'm going to open this up to the public if anybody would like to speak.
Thank you. Most of my questions were answered. Jonna Favreau, 67 Excelsior. To piggyback off what you had asked, Carmela, there's some of us that are on the, I think it's called the pilot program. So we're tested every 6 months because our levels were extremely high when we did the water testing. So I was just curious if that puts us also at the top of the list for replacement. And I'm just putting it out there that obviously everybody knows there's an EBL in our family. I'm willing to offer that information and work with the council and DPU to try to figure out what's needed so that when that cluster happens in September, maybe we're targeted. I mean, I'm being selfish, but
Yeah.
what do I need to do so that our neighborhood is replaced? Because I know at least 3 neighbors have it as well. But I also was curious what the marketing budget was for the department, not just for social media, but possibly billboards or CDTA bus ads that are running. I was just curious if you had an update for that.
The marketing materials is kind of an ongoing that we're trying to work on. Obviously, we're trying to put all the money we have right now into the service lines. And we're trying to market towards city residents specifically. So the mailings, the water bills, that sort of thing is kind of, getting people right in the mailbox. The bulletin that we came up with is kind of the update. We're revising that a little bit. We're anticipating that to go out. It will go out quarterly. That's also part of the quarterly information that'll tell people where we are, what we're doing, how to avoid lead exposure. Also kind of everything we have encompassing lead, where is the inventory at, how to keep the inventory going. if they have questions. It has a couple links in there to the EPA and Department of Health. So it's very informational. We're trying to do it in just a 2 or 4 page type of bulletin that goes out. It's going to be, right now it's specific towards lead. But I would look at continuing that for lead and any other thing that might go into DPU. I think this last round that went out actually had the link to our annual water quality report in it. So you can go on to the website and find out everything that we tested for and what we found. So it kind of encompasses everything. That's kind of where we're focusing it. I never actually thought of the buses or the billboards, but the concern that we're finding with other communities is they are behind the 8 ball worse than we are. They aren't prepped or prepared to take the phone calls. So if we start putting stuff on buses or billboards, we might get people from out of town that see it and start calling other places.
What about school districts? Like reaching out to school districts, and maybe having teachers or, like send stuff home to,
We're
to the
working on
students,
that.
yeah.
Obviously, the schools are out right now.
yeah, right.
But we worked, the one instance was actually at a school. That's where we had our billboard set up, and it was a parent student day at the school. That's where they actually went. So we are working on things like that. We're also working on ways to get to the parents. We're also handing out flyers to gynecologists, to pediatricians' offices,
That's good.
and we're gonna have a cover letter on there,
Awesome.
and the bulletin in there so that they can hand those out also, about what it is. And if they need more copies, they can let us know. But we're actually going to send, 100 copies to those offices so that they have them available. So we are trying to, even daycare facilities and that sort of thing.
Excellent. All right. Thank you, Chris.
Yep.
Thank you. Does anybody else want to speak in the public? From the public? No? All right. We'll go ahead, close this meeting up.
Mo, you make a motion?
Okay. All right.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, I'll second it. All right, meeting adjourned.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right. We're going right into finance. I am going to ask everyone, Jonah, once again, thank you. Thank you. I'm going to ask everyone to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now, Bob, you'll appreciate the for all is Bob Doherty. You got it. Yeah. All right. Roll call, Councilmember Gully.
Here.
Councilmember Figueroa. Hi, and I want you to know, just for everyone out there, a little shameless plug. Empanadas at Councilmember Figueroa's new restaurant. Fabulous, fabulous. That's okay ethically. isn't it? Next meeting. All right, the July meeting, we're holding you to it. Absolutely fabulous, though. Congratulations, Councilmember Figueroa. It's a big step. Really big step and really fabulous food. Okay, blue, Councilmember Steele. Present. Councilmember Min.
Present.
Oh, sorry, we're sharing. Councilmember, I'm so sorry, Conley Wilson. Present. Councilmember Soriento. Here. Council President Mantello is here. We have all 7 present. Presentation of the agenda, ordinance 47, ordinance 48. We will be calling executive session in a few minutes. Also, I would like unanimous consent to add resolution 61, which is an IDA appointment, which was accidentally left off the agenda. The appointment is Stephanie Fitch, who is the mayor's, I apologize, the representative of the Troy School Board, would be appointed. So I will make a motion to add resolution 61. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second, Councilmember Gully, all in favor? Opposed? Okay, we have unanimous consent to add resolution 61. Councilmember Steele?
I just think it's a reappointment, but that's okay.
Or reappointment, I'm sorry. Thank you. Thank you for that clarification. My new pro tem, you're out. Okay, public forum. You get paid big money for this. Public forum, we'd like to open it up to the public. If anyone would like to speak on any item on the finance agenda. Bob, please. Our sound system's terrible tonight.
Yeah, it is.
You better.
All right. We're fixing it up.
Yes.
Something new? No, I wouldn't know it's,
Yeah.
Maria, if it's comforting, we've heard this story 100 times, so we still don't expect it.
Thank you.
So when it does come, it will be a surprise anyways. Nice, awesome.
Sorry, Bob. You know, the little things.
Just want to make sure we can hear you, Bob.
That's okay. What's that?
We just want to make sure we can hear you.
Okay.
And for the record, Bob has just a wonderful voice. Yeah, when you hear it, it's a perfect.
You're so kind.
It's such a great radio voice.
Blackman.
Blackman.
My name is Bob Blackman, and I'm currently the president of the Justice Center of Renton County. And the subject I want to talk about tonight is the settlement of the Johnson case. And we're pleased, we at the Justice Center are pleased that the financial settlement has been reached. My good friend, Chief Dan DeWolf tells me, okay, thank you. Tells me that the police department has really changed in recent years, that we have a very different department than we had a few years ago. And I really want to believe that. I want to believe that that's true. I hope the Johnson case is actually a relic of the old police department and not representative of the new one. We really want to believe that. I also want to believe that the officers of our police department are learning from the mistakes of the past. I hope they are experiencing valuable, what I would call teaching moments from the terrible racist mistakes that preceded them. I said in testimony before the council a few years ago, I said that a few years ago, but obviously some officers didn't understand the concept of the teaching moment and continued to engage in racist behavior against Officer Johnson. That's very unfortunate. So now we taxpayers have to foot the bill for yet another settlement of well over $250 million. This is just the most recent in a long list of settlements, including to the Thevenin family, to Archie Davis, James Foley, John Larkin, and many others over the years. Ladies and gentlemen, in the words of Pete Seeger, when will we ever learn? When will we ever learn? On the evening when the council approved the $1.55 million statement in the settlement in the Thevenin case, I clearly stated that the Justice Center does not, and I'll repeat tonight, the Justice Center does not favor defunding the police. We really don't. However, I suggested to you that night that you consider the following plan. When the city settles a law enforcement suit because of police misconduct, the money for that settlement perhaps should be taken from the police department's budget, not from the pockets of taxpayers or taxpayer purchased insurance. If you adopt that plan, the TPD would be put in the position of defunding itself or not, depending on how they react to behavior. It's really their choice. I'll conclude by saying that racism has cost us a lot of money over the years. But more importantly, racism is immoral. It really is immoral. We are not Mississippi. We are not Alabama. We are New York. Up here near the Canadian border, we are New York. We should be so embarrassed about racist behavior. Racism has to stop in the police department, and I hope it's stopping and in all parts of our lives. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bob, and eloquently said about racism. Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak on any item on the agenda? Okay, I am now going to take a vote to go into executive session. I'll make a motion for ordinance 47, ordinance 48. Is there a second? Second, Councilmember Steele, discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? I'll ask the council, Rick Morrissey, the mayor, Andy, if you don't mind joining us. Thank you. So you have to leave it on, just mute it. Is there a way you can put executive session? Thank you.
We're going to the other room.
Yeah. You can bring them. Nobody can tape though. No.
Can't do anything.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna use it. I'm not gonna leave it. Bring my fake chicken.
For my water.
See it, the word is method by fire. See. Like, go for it.
All right, come on.
You pointed Chris on Power Start.
Yes, I did.
What's the timeline?
Gonna be done by the 30th. Next week.
I will take a motion to come back from executive session. Is there a motion? Motion, Councilmember Steele, is there a second? Second, Councilmember Conley Wilson, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? We are now out of executive session. We're back at the table here. And let's see, ordinance 47. Ordinance authorizing settlement. Oh, and there are a few ordinances here going straight to the special, just so everyone knows. Ordinance authorizing settlement of claim to wit Christopher J. Johnson, plaintiff B. First, the City of Troy, the City of Troy Police Department, and the estate of Sergeant Randall C. French, defendants U.S. District Court, Northern District Court of New York, Civil Action Number 120 CV 1279. Councilmember Steele, at the request of the administration. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Conley Wilson. Is there a second? Second, Councilmember Figueroa. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ordinance 47 carries 7-0. Ordinance 48, ordinance authorizing settlement claim to wit Carlos and Andre Perez Vargas, plaintiff versus the City of Troy, All Phase Services, Inc., and Titano and Sons LLC, defendants, Rensselaer County Supreme Court, index number EF 2021-268806. Councilmember Steele was supposed to be Councilmember Gully, but I'm sure you don't mind. At the request of the administration, is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Conley Wilson. Is there a second? Second, Councilmember Gully. For folks out there, if you look at the backup, $0. The City of Troy is responsible on this settlement. There is no monies being awarded. We were a name in a lawsuit. Further discussion. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ordinance 48 carries 7-0. Ordinance 49, ordinance amending the 2023 general fund and garbage fund budgets. Council President Mantello, at the request of the administration. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Steele. Is there a second? Second, Councilmember Gully. Discussion, Andy? Just a couple quick things I saw. Real awesome. Thank you. I did see that we're pulling from some accounts in BIS for 37.5. Monies will be used to purchase new computers at various departments. Didn't we already get that changeover, or were there departments not hit?
There were,
Yep.
there were departments that didn't get new computers, so there are still some that need to be replaced, and then replenishing inventory for future replacements.
Gotcha. And number one, this whole municipal court, we're reimbursed, but I saw, did it increase?
So it's amending it to 70,000 in for improvements at the courthouse, of which I can get the detail on.
Yeah, I'm curious on that one. That would be, oh, God bless you. God bless you. That would be good. The general services, the uniforms, why were they not budgeted for?
That was a mistake on my part.
Okay,
We had corrected it last month, and it's just to provide additional funding for the rest of the year.
okay. And then I saw an engineering consultant services that I take is that for engineering.
Yes,
Okay. And-
non-reimbursable engineering costs.
Okay, all right. And then lastly, I saw in the garbage fund, the composting initiative. Is that the match for that grant, the USDA?
So we had budgeted the local match for the grant for the 2023 fiscal year, and then we're amending it now to account for the remaining balance of the grant.
Okay, okay.
It's not in the new, it's not in that CM fund because we have historically had it in CL going back since it starts. So this is the last year of the grant, so just to have continuity with it.
Okay, cool. Yes, Councilmember Men, here you go.
Thanks. Regarding the engineering consultant services. Can you speak a little bit more to what that work was doing and if we had filled the engineering position, if that would have been able to be done in-house?
I would surmise that some of it could have been done in-house. Specifics of that I can't speak to.
And just,
I can say, you know, when we had when the city engineer was here, we were still using third party, so I don't want to make it seem like none of this would have been used. Do I think the full amount would have been used? Most likely not. Where that tipping point is, I don't know.
right, just because I'm looking at $75,300 for engineering services. And in 2022, we had budgeted $76,826 for a city engineer. Which was a halftime position, so that wasn't even half of that was used. So just the cost to not having a city engineer, and we're halfway through the year. So are we on track to be over $100,000, $125,000, $40,000 for engineering consultant services for 2023 because we do not have an in-house engineer at this. at this rate?
I mean, yes, we're on track to be over $100,000. What it would be with an engineer, without an engineer, and that's not to speak against I just don't know what that split was. We were using third-party engineering services. We had a city engineer here in 2013 when I started, and we were using third-party engineering services. So what that split is, I don't know. Is it increased in this year because city engineer position is vacant? Yes. I mean, that can't be spoken otherwise, but what it would have been would be entirely speculative.
I understand. Thank you. Go.
And I can't share. It's okay. You're also pulling from the engineering salary.
Correct.
So-
It's just moving it,
Yeah.
it's not, it's
Right.
being moved from the salary line to the consultant line.
Right. So, but we will see at the end of the year those costs. And I will say we definitely have had more emergencies, I would say, this year as opposed to other years, minus 2016 when the mayor and I came in and had the water main. And anyway, okay, so we'll see at the end of the year.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you. Further questions, discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Come on now, Pro Tem, behave. I will be replacing you. Councilmember Steele, what do you think? All right, ordinance 49 carries 7-0. Or, resolution 59, resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with the Boys and Girls Club of the capital area for the purpose of providing trained personnel to administer and operate the South Tri Pool facility through August 31st, 2023. Council President Mantello, at the request of the administration, is there a motion? Motion, Councilmember Gully, is there a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Steele. I just want to, commend Boys and Girls Club, have been doing an awesome job down there. And I am hearing, I won't give a hard date or anything, but we're hopeful to be up and running before the 4th weekend. So let's give it up for the administration. They're working hard on that. We have a motion. We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Very good. And one recusal. So we have 6 ayes, 0 noes, 1 recusal. Thank you, Councilmember Figueroa. And this will be on the special. So you'll have 47, 48, and 59 so far. Resolution 60, resolution appointing Alyssa McClenahan to the Board of Assessment Review of the City of Troy. Council President Mantello, at the request of the administration, is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Steele, is there a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Men, discussion, great family. Holy cow. Further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, 60 passes, 7-0. Please stop throwing your mic around.
Unnecessary mic drop.
Okay, resolution 62, resolution authorizing. Huh?
Adding
61, I apologize, the IDA is squeezed in. Bear with me, there we are. I forgot his number, it's 61. Resolution 61, resolution confirming an appointment to the Troy IDA. Council President Mantello, at the request of the administration, is there a motion? Motion, Councilmember Gully, is there a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Steele. Discussion?
Did we add this to the agenda?
Yes, unanimously at the beginning, that was that res.
I wasn't sure if that was the resolution.
Yeah.
That was executive session.
Not a problem. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, congratulations, Stephanie and Alyssa. Resolution 61 carries 7-0. Resolution 62, resolution authorizing a friendship city relationship between the city of Troy, New York and the city town of Martha in the Republic of Artsakh. Council President Mantello, at the request of the administration, is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Council Member Men, is there a second? Second, Council Member Soriento. Discussion, I was asked to sponsor this from our friends at the church. Mayor, please refresh my memory of, is it St. Nicholas, maybe?
Yeah, that was going to be my question.
Yes.
There's no backup at all to this.
Yes, the Armenian. Hold on, I will. Yes, okay, I will, here we go. All right, so he's actually called Tony, but his entree, Karagazon, okay. I'm very sorry, but anyway, he has requested, he has been at various council meetings. He's requested, we sponsor this resolution. Other municipalities are also doing this. He will be here on July 6th to talk about the resolution. And basically, it's a partnership between us and this town. Okay.
Is there any information about the town? I mean, is it what unites us? What's
Yeah.
What's
I
the
will make sure
rationale
that he
for that?
forwards-
That would be helpful.
Yes, and
Yeah,
I'll make sure he forwards it before, but he's also coming July 6th.
it would be helpful. Thank you.
All right. Yes. Well, the resolution, but it doesn't really talk about the town particularly, so that's fair. Okay. And once again, this will go to July 6th and we'll talk about it then. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed. Okay, resolution 62 carries 6-1. Resolution 63, resolution calling upon Governor Kathy Hochul to ensure that the maternity ward of the Samaritan Hospital, also known as the Burdette Center, remains open and continues to provide vital birth and maternity services. Council President Mantello, Council Member Steele, and anyone else that would like to join, please, let Maria know or let us know. I'm sure everyone would like to be a part of this. We can go more into it at the special meeting if that works. Okay. Motion, is there a motion? Motion, Councilmember Conley Wilson, is there a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Mann, Councilmember Steele, and we can talk about it in that special if that's all right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 63 is carried and will be on the special. And resolution 64, resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a memorandum of understanding with the Capital District Transportation Authority regarding infrastructure cost sharing and project implementation for construction of the Liberty Square Mobility Hub. Council President Mantello, at the request of the administration, is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Conley Wilson, is there a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Steele, and Dylan is with us. This is a super exciting project. Dylan, take it away. We're pumped.
All
We're
right.
pumped.
Is there anything you want me to go over specifically? I mean, this is,
Just in general,
Sure.
what's our piece of the pie?
Yeah.
And what's the timeline? And obviously, these upgrades are going to be really critical toward, enhancing the market area, Fourth Street, and that whole neighborhood.
yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it, right? So that area over there is going through a lot of, I guess I would say updates. You've got the new market going in. You've also got a couple of cool places that have opened up recently in that area. Then you've also got the work that's being done at that park. That's actually been a parking lot for a long time. It's going to be really nice. So there's a lot of reasons to make it more walkable. We're already spending our CHIPS money on that block with a couple of blocks that are over there. So it's really an opportunity to work with CDTA to create better mobility within the area. So we're going to have both. What we're going to end up seeing is there's going to be a BRT stop or a bus stop that's going to be improved. They're also going to do a ton of like landscaping and a lot of adding other infrastructure, hardscapes, that kind of stuff. That's actually going to be provided by CDTA as part of the deal because they need a place to put their equipment. So we're very fortunate that CDTA is a good partner and they're very excited to work on this with us. The problem is we can't get started this summer unless we approve an MOU that they need to see in order for them to want to spend the kind of money that it's going to take, basically. So most of the money that we're putting up is already allocated for CHIPS payments. So we're not coming out of pocket for anything. This is already money that we're spending anyway. So it's actually a really fantastic deal. The only thing that's at the end is that we're going to own a bunch of the equipment that CDTA is putting in. So just keep in mind that they're doing a lot of stuff for us. They're doing a lot of work for us and they're providing a lot of equipment for us. So we're going to want to keep and obviously maintain that for them and for ourselves once they transfer over the ownership of it to us.
Awesome. Did anyone have any questions or?
I just wanted to comment.
Sure,
It's
council
exciting.
member Cummings.
Thank you. It's exciting to get a traffic signal update. That traffic signal is
Yes.
definitely much older than I am. And also making that intersection a lot safer for pedestrians and bikers. Excited about the Little Italy Marketplace, how this ties into it. And yeah, I'm really excited to see this. So thanks. Elaine.
Yeah, absolutely. This is Steve's handiwork. He deserves a lot of credit on this one.
We're going to be saying that a lot over the next couple months. All right. Any further questions, discussion? Oh, timeline. I apologize. Did you give an approximate?
I don't have an approximate timeline. It's still being shaped. They want to see what's going to happen with the MOU first. But I should have a timeline for you guys pretty soon
Okay.
once this gets signed.
All right.
Chair,
Cool.
or Council President.
Yeah. Council member man.
Is CDTA in addition to the bus stop and bike share still looking at doing electric car share?
They'll look at it. It's a tough program for them.
Mhm.
Obviously, you have to have a certain number of cars for it to really be feasible from an economic standpoint. They've done it a number of times and it hasn't really worked out. So because the demand hasn't been there, quite frankly. But if the demand's there, they'll certainly look at it. They want to get involved in a lot of really progressive sort of ideas about transportation that could help alleviate some of our parking issues.
Mhm.
And they're definitely a partner in the future for working together on those types of initiatives.
And I did notice part of the MOU is waiving the fees, the various fees. Do we have an approximate value of that?
I don't. I believe the total cost of the project is below $1 million. But I have to check because I'm not sure. That said, though, the fee, again, most of it's going to be for public, benefit. It's all for public benefit, but most of
Right.
it's on CDTA's on their dime. So they're providing that
Mhm.
value upfront to us.
Good. And I agree, there is a lot of public amenities attached to this. I could have sworn when I was at the CDTA, the neighborhood meeting, they mentioned there would be electric charging.
Oh, electric charging, yes. Electric car.
Oh,
A car share is
got it.
different, though. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Yep.
Good.
Yeah,
Good,
they were
good, good.
gonna, I'm sorry.
No, go
point
ahead,
of
Council
information,
Member Conlon.
What I recall is that they were gonna, there's like moving some of those parking spots. So one would be like, there'd be like a loading zone, there'd be an e-bike or e-vehicle charging station, kind of where some of those parking spots are now, but they would move some of those with the,
It'll be up on Liberty.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
on Liberty.
Yeah.
So that's exciting. And yeah, it's great to have those charging stations. And I think they did just relaunch, CDTA just relaunched their
Mhm.
car share program.
Yes,
So
I
I'm seeing
did
that
see
on
that.
Instagram.
Yep.
So hopefully this one works.
And if not here, then somewhere else, we'll certainly find a place
Yeah.
for it because it's a good program if we can do it. And the last thing is they've spent a lot of time talking to the community as well. So this has been in
Yes.
the works for a number of years. The community has had a lot of input in this, and they've been really, really fantastic about working with the community to get this done.
This will be just an incredibly huge improvement in terms of walkability, safety, the whole shebang. I mean, this is huge. It's really, really exciting. The one way, is that being coincided in terms of timing and all that with this project, or do you see it for happening prior?
Right. So you can't do it prior because you're basically shutting off people's way to get back. So
Right.
yeah, there's a certain sequencing that you have to hit just right. And they know what it is, and so do we. So we'll make sure that we do it just correct.
Further questions, discussions for Dylan? Okay, thanks, Dylan.
Great. Thanks, everybody.
All right.
Take care.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right. Resolution 64 carries 7-0. I will take a motion to adjourn. We'll go right into the special. We have a
Second.
motion. Is there a second? Second, Councilmember Soriento, discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we are now going into the special meeting, and I'll ask everyone to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. And how about Councilmember Figueroa take us into the pledge? To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Pop's got to be laughing up there. You know, he keeps an eye on her. Maria, roll call.
Councilmember Gully,
Here.
Councilmember Figueroa.
Here.
Councilmember Steele,
Present.
Councilmember Men,
Here.
Councilmember Conley Wilson,
Present.
Councilmember Soriento,
Here.
Council President Mantello.
Here.
All are present.
Thank you. Presentation of the agenda, a few items that was just passed in finance. I'll open it up to the public forum. Would anyone like to speak on any item on the agenda? Hi there.
Hi, I apologize. I missed the earlier public comment for the finance meeting. I will say right off the bat, I appreciate the council taking action on the Burdette Birthing Center. I think that's really important that we, prioritize keeping that open for the families here.
Yeah.
On the topic of the settlement for Sergeant Randall French and the discrimination suit in the city, I think it's important to not just pay this money and forget about it. I know that it's easy to blame a man who cannot fight back anymore as the sole person responsible for discrimination within our police department. But he was not alone. The officer involved alleged that there were people in the locker rooms who were saying slurs. And as far as we know, those officers still work for Troy PD. So while Randall French may be gone, those officers are not. And they are liabilities to the city still. They are more lawsuits waiting to happen. We have just paid out, a $70,000 settlement. In addition, not counting the amount that our insurance is covering and the amount that our premiums are going up. And we're spending more money with our corporate counsel to fight in court against releasing FOIA requests for police disciplinary records. And I can only assume that means that there is something that we are still trying to hide. These past couple months, we've had a number of events relating to public safety. And it seems clear to me that while the city is taking steps to try and change things in the future, they have not acknowledged what has happened in the past. Every settlement we've done so far has been, without an acknowledgement of any guilt. And I think that we can't move on as a city. We can't accept that. We need to acknowledge what we have done wrong. We need to make it public what we have done wrong. And Mayor, I see you in the room. You could stop the fighting in court on the releasing of FOIA records of police disciplinary records tomorrow if you wanted to. Save our city a bunch of money and
Please
an embarrassing
address
court
the
loss.
council. Yeah, you have to address the council. I get what you're saying.
We could stop that tomorrow, save us some time, money, let our corporation council do many of the other things that are very important going on in the city. But we're not doing that. because we're trying to defend police who have done things wrong. That is what the disciplinary records are. Lastly, I would just say that earlier today there was an incident where the over 100 people were evicted from their homes because the code enforcement determined that their homes were uninhabitable. This should be a wake-up call for the council, for the mayor, for everyone in the city that there is something deeply broken with how we are enforcing code. That this building was allowed to get to this point, and that these people are now without a home and are now scrambling to try and find anywhere to stay with a night's notice. We need to have better tenant protections, period. We need to be making sure that these people, if code is going to come in and evict people from their homes, that someone has to put them up somewhere, right? That the landlord, the absentee landlord in this case, who lives in New Jersey, has to pay for the accommodations for all the people who are now out of their homes.
They are, just so you know, to give you an update, the property manager is on site. They have located a number of hotel rooms. It's completely unacceptable. I'm agreeing with you.
Sure.
It should never have gotten this far. However, the property owner, the landlords have thankfully taken responsibility. They are finding hotel rooms because of graduations. It's been a little difficult. They're Ubering folks who don't have transportation because Colony is the closest they've been able to find.
Sure.
It appears 4 or 5 days for the work. That's what I'm being told. I'm just forwarding what I was told on site. 4 or 5 days for the work. So it appears it could be 2 nights, 3 nights, maybe 4 nights. Totally unacceptable. Agree with you, but just so you know, they at
Thank you.
least are making good on that.
Right. Thank you for that. And I think that that's commendable, but also I think it's the bare minimum. And the fact that they're not required in any way to do that is a problem in and of itself. We need to make sure that this is something that is actually enforced. And we need to have more code enforcement officers who are willing to do something. As I understand it, this was reported many times, and it took a council member stepping in and pushing on code to actually investigate it at this point. So, we should really be prioritizing our budgets more to be, have a certificate of occupancy that requires our code to regularly be checking these kinds of buildings for these kinds of problems before they get to this bad, where people are actually being evicted. So I would hope that the council can act on that and draft some legislation that would have prevented this. I know that thus far almost everything that the council does is at the request of the administration. The city council can make their own legislation, and I would recommend they do so if the mayor's not willing to. Thank you.
Thank you. And
Sorry.
your name.
Mark Speedy, 512 6th Avenue.
Thank you, Mark.
Yeah.
And, just on that note, remember, the council, we can pass legislation until the sun sets. It's the enforcement and the implementation of the legislation. Thank you.
Right. And I'll just say, yeah, obviously we need better enforcement, and this is true across a number of positions in the city, but we pay less than Cohoes, we pay less than Albany for all of these positions. So it's no wonder why we have, 4 or 5 vacant code enforcement positions. And I've had a director of code position that's been vacant for years now. So, we should be allocating our budget accordingly because, these are 100 people who are out of a home right now because of it.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you. Yes, unacceptable. Thank you, Mark.
Council President?
Yes, council members.
I would just, in reaction to that, remind us that a previous council voted down our attempts to add positions in code. So I absolutely agree with your remarks. We can't do a job unless we have the people to do the job.
And on that note, there were vacancies, and that's why the previous council voted them down. We could debate this all night. fill the vacancies first, then add the positions. It makes no sense adding positions when you have vacant
And
positions.
that needs to
but-
work across the board in all departments.
All right, moving along, let's get into it. Anyone else? Public forum.
It's just like the same people that voted down hiring firemen. Resolution 63 on the Burdette Care Center. I appreciate the effort on that. But what's the plan if it doesn't happen? If they close, what's the plan, right? You hope for the best, you prepare for the worst, what are we prepared for? Because on top of that, the mental health unit is reduced, right? And then 10 or 12 days ago in the paper, now announced that they're closing all their facilities, right? That's 10,000 people they see at 9th and Hoosick Streets, right? Low income neighborhood, where are those people going? Are they going to the hospital? Are they calling 911?
Did not hear about well now.
Yes, they're not building the 4 that they proposed and they're phasing out the rest of them. So, what are we preparing for here, right? Because it's a big department, right? I was talking to a family that I know up in Malta, they do 4,200 calls a year, they run 5 ambulances. Medic Ford does 4,400 calls a year in 1 ambulance. Right? Something's got to give here. It just keeps getting worse and worse and worse, and we're not addressing the issue. I don't know. I hope somebody's preparing that these things don't come to fruition. I hope they do. I hope the effort is put in and that the governor sees it and the head of the Department of Health, Mr. McDonald, sees the importance of these facilities in the city, but I don't know, does Ryan have to get approval to close also? Maybe we can look into that also, right? Because that's a underserviced neighborhood with medical care, losing a medical facility that sees quite a few patients.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
Well said. All right, anyone else? Public forum, would anyone else like to speak on any item on the agenda? Okay, I'm gonna close the public forum, go right into ordinance 47. Thank you. Seamus, you're getting good workout today.
Ordinance authorizing settlement of claim to wit Christopher J. Johnson, plaintiff versus the city of Troy, the city of Troy Police Department, and the estate of Sergeant Randall C. French, defendants, U.S. District Court, Northern District of New York, civil action number 120 CV 1279. Councilmember Steele at the request of the administration.
Is there a motion? Motion, Councilmember Conley Wilson, is there a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Min, discussion. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
7 ayes, 0 noes. Ordinance 47 passes.
On ordinance 48.
Ordinance 48, ordinance authorizing settlement of claim to with Carlos Andre Perez Vargas, plaintiff versus City of Troy, All Phase Services Incorporated and Detano and Sons LLC, defendants, Rensselaer County Supreme Court, index number EF 2021-268806. Councilmember Steele at the request of the administration.
Is there a motion? Motion, Councilmember Gully. Is there a second? Second, Councilmember Soriento. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
7 ayes, 0 noes. Ordinance 48 passes.
Resolution 59.
Resolution 59, resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with the Boys and Girls Club of the Capital Area INC for the purpose of providing trained personnel to administer and operate the South Troy Pool Facility through August 31st, 2023. Council President Mantel at the request of the administration.
Is there a motion? Motion, Councilmember Conley Wilson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Steele. Andy, I forgot to ask, I did not look up, you can stay there, the amount, has that gone up from last year or is it the same? It's fine, I mean, I'm with it anyway, but yeah, I think it was like 75-ish last year, but just curious. Oh, okay, what's it, 2023? Yeah.
I actually do have a couple of questions as well.
Oh,
so.
good, good. Thank you. And you know what, I knew, all right, it was up there. No, maybe the first year.
Recreation.
Yeah. Under recreation. This is still there.
Oops. So it's as set forth in Schedule A, which is not attached, so I will have someone send it tomorrow or Monday.
Okay.
I apologize for that. But it delineated in section section 3, upon agreement of both parties, the total sum of money that the city agrees to pay as set forth. I'm sorry, in 2, payment for services will be reimbursed after receipt of payroll records for staff specific to the services described in Schedule A. If I recall correctly from last year, Schedule A delineates the different titles. So if it's a lifeguard, its hourly rate would be different than support staff. But we pay by the hour, just why it fluctuates year to
Yeah.
year.
And total, you think same or? Oh,
Probably up. Minimum wage, I
Minimum
mean, minimum wage increase, I would assume
Yes.
they would then bump up accordingly as
Yeah.
well. So at least 140, I think we anticipated somewhere between 150 and 160,000 next year for the, between 150, I think we anticipated in the budget process last year for this year, between 150 and 160,000.
yeah, I vaguely remember. I know it was up there. Councilmember Conley Wilson.
So it sounds like you don't have the staffing cost or the hourly cost.
No, I don't.
Accessible. You can find it from last year. I think that would be
That'd be
helpful, for us. And I was curious if you know, like, usage numbers or if there was like any maintenance costs from last year.
That I don't. That I don't know.
Would appreciate that to be provided as well.
Uh-huh. Performed by the city, performed by the Boys and Girls Club, or all of the above. Uh-huh.
Sorry.
Wait till the Nick comes.
Council President?
Are you all
Yes,
set?
I am.
Perfect. Councilmember Figueroa. Thank you.
Just in my experience, although the number may seem high, this creates a huge opportunity for the young people in the community to work as well. Not only is given the opportunity for residents in the city to have a pool where they can go through this in the summer. They have a partnership with Summer Youth Employment. So a lot of, not only they are being able to given the opportunity to have a job, they're also going through the training of a lifeguard, which is completely free to the young person that's interested in becoming a lifeguard. So this is also open up opportunities for the young people to gain new experience and also get free training in the process of getting employment and working at the South Troy Pool.
And Councilmember Figueroa, I could not agree with you more. Our pools, it's not just a swimming joint. Some of these kids have nowhere to go. And they're provided lunch. It's
Great program.
super important to obviously keep our kids off the street, keep them active. Troy Boys and Girls Club has done a phenomenal job. I've stopped by numerous times and it's just so orderly and they just do a phenomenal job. So, no, it's a great partnership and it's truly needed. And a lot of folks, because we don't have the NIC, a lot of folks from North Central and, beyond do go to the South Troy Pool. They have the senior citizen swimming in the morning too. And I've stopped by there. So it's just a really needed amenity in our city. Yes, Councilmember Gully.
Totally agree. It's needed for the children of our community and the adults also who go there. My question would be that I'm just looking at the numbers and I'm saying, wow, over $2,000 a day for labor at a pool. And I'm thinking, how many people do we hire? How much are we paying them? I'd like to know that stuff, just to know, because beside the fact that everybody swims, we also have the taxpayers that are put forth the funding for this. And I think they'd want to know, it could be great. I'm just thinking when I look at over $2,000 a day in labor, because I don't think it covers any other cost, right, Andy? Is it just the labor or is it anything in training?
That I don't
We
know.
covered
I
insurance.
would have to go back to my,
I'm just thinking that seems to be an awful heavy number for part-time lifeguards and people at the pool. So I'd like to see all those numbers if I could, because I'd like to make sense of it.
Council
But I
Pre-
do agree, it's a great thing for the community.
Council President,
Councilmember Soriento.
will retirement be offered to them?
no,
To-
they're not city employees.
So
They're
they're not,
contracted through it's all Boys and Girls Club
Okay.
employees. So we pay the Boys and Girls Club and then they pay it out of their
so
coffers.
there'll be a potential savings right there.
Yeah, yes.
Good question.
Mhm.
Further questions, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Oppose and recuse. Awesome. So we have 601, Maria. Last but not least, and very important, Resolution 63.
Sorry. Resolution 63, resolution calling upon Governor Kathy Hochul to ensure that the maternity ward of the Samaritan Hospital remains open and continues to provide vital birth and maternity services. Council President Mantello, Councilmember Steele.
Thank you. And hopefully everybody, but I'm going to read this resolution very quickly. Councilmember Steele worked with it, worked on it with me. I want to thank Rick. I noticed, Rick, that you added a little zest in a couple areas, so thank you. This is very, very serious. Before I read it, many of us, I think Councilmember Steele, Councilmember Mann, myself, were at the recent rally. But even before that, I mean, for us to find out that the maternity ward / birthing center, which is the only one in Troy, the only one in Rensselaer County, was closing, and to hear about it through the press is just absolutely, I mean, I'm angry. It's unacceptable. It's just ludicrous for us to find out something so important, so vital, so critical to not just moms, but to families across Troy and across Rensselaer County to find out about it through the press. And to date, for us leaders to not even know what their plan is and to not even be consulted with to say, hey, we have to do this because of A, B, and C. But we're not even consulted with, we're not even approached. What is your plan? And quite frankly, like, what do you plan to do for the folks who aren't receiving these services? We know that folks are going to have to be transported. We heard Eric Wisher earlier about the wait times. I mean, look at Albany Med, look at St. Peter's wait times now. Look at the transportation an hour to get there. Our ambulances are going to have to transport women over to Albany County or other nearby counties. It's just completely unacceptable. And why I and Councilmember Steele, I don't want to speak for you, but the buck stops with the governor. The governor oversees New York State DOH. DOH must approve this plan. St. Peter's is looking at dollars and cents and not looking at critical care for the people of Troy and Rensselaer County. And frankly, the governor can put an end to this immediately and can keep this ward open. So whereas recent news reports indicate that Trinity Health and St. Peter's Health Partners are proposing to close the Samaritan Hospital Maternity Ward Burdett Center, and whereas the Samaritan Hospital Maternity Ward is the only maternity ward in the city of Troy and Rensselaer County, and whereas city and county officials are deeply concerned that this proposed closure will have severe adverse consequences for mothers and newborn babies in the city and county and diminish the overall quality of healthcare in the region. And whereas according to the National Center for Health Statistics, deaths due to maternal conditions and complications have now reached, this is incredible when I saw this, their highest level since 1965, making the U.S. the most dangerous place among high-income countries to give birth. That is just unacceptable. And whereas the maternal mortality rate among Black women was 2.6 times higher than the rate for white women in 2021. And Black women disproportionately made up 30% of maternal deaths in the population. And whereas the proposed closure would force residents to travel substantially greater distances to other counties for maternity services, creating great hardships, especially for those with minimal or reduced resources. And whereas the proposed closure would place the Troy and Rensselaer County families and residents who require these essential health services in needless jeopardy, diminish the quality and quantity of available maternity care, and place additional burdens on the city's emergency responders. And whereas the proposed closure will need New York State Department of Health approval, and whereas the governor oversees the Department of Health, now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Troy hereby calls upon, not just calls upon, implores Governor Kathy Hochul to immediately take all reasonable steps to ensure that the Samaritan Hospital Maternity Ward Burdett Center remains open and continues to provide maternity and birth care services to the residents of Troy and Rensselaer County. This resolution, if it passes, will immediately be delivered to the governor, senator, and assembly member McDonald and Senator Jake Ashby. So, you know, in a nutshell, this is unacceptable. The governor can stop this. We need to put all pressure on the governor to keep our maternity ward open.
Council President,
Council Member Steele.
I'm wondering if it would amplify our message even more if we put it in the resolution that we would like this to also go to the Commissioner of the Department of Health.
Perfect.
Yes, I agree. The governor does oversee, but I think the more we can get this message out to more people. I know I've forwarded this to a number of localities, urging them to also pass this. The more we can do to get our message out there, the more will be heard. So
Absolutely. So
I'm not sure if
please-
we want to direct the clerk to do that
Yes.
or just add it within the body of the
We
resolution.
can direct the clerk. So Maria, the Commissioner of the Department of Health, which coincidentally
Lee
is John McDonald's
Jim McDonald.
relation to Assembly
His
Member.
younger
McDonald.
brother.
Yes, his younger brother. But, you know, and you must know, like, we all know this isn't a Republican, Democrat. This is not a
No, it's
political
bipartisan.
issue. Yeah, this is
Absolutely.
bipartisan. This is, we gotta do an all out front to get this proposal squashed, denied, and the governor and the commissioner need to keep this open. Discussion?
Council President.
Councilmember Moon.
I was able to attend the rally earlier this week, and there were many really very important points made. One of which I think we are all experiencing is the systemic failure of American healthcare, as it has been corporatized and hospital systems have been consolidated. Trinity Healthcare is a multi-billion-dollar corporation, which only pays their portion of support to the city of Troy through the Troy Redevelopment Foundation in addition to RPI, Emma Willard, and Russell Sage College, our meds and our eds. This is an organization that is taking advantage of our fire department by leaving our paramedics providing patient care in the ambulances in the parking lot, sometimes for hours. It is taking advantage of taxpayers. And I think that in addition to this, we need to look very carefully at what they should be contributing back to our community. And my father is, my aunt is an OBGYN. My father is a pediatrician and emergency doc. I grew up in a hospital in a rural community where the nearest hospital, besides the one in my tiny hometown, was 40 miles away. I know that that time in an ambulance means you're also sometimes people's lives are in danger on many, many levels. And this is something that I have seen the decimation over the course of my lifetime to the medical field, to the morale of nurses and doctors and healthcare providers, midwives, doulas. And I want to be very clear. This is a money grab by Trinity Healthcare. Cesarean deliveries can be scheduled, they're harder on a woman's body, they're harder on a baby. And the work of the doulas and the midwives at Burdett means you do not have to do cesareans. Cesareans bring more money because they are a surgical operation to a hospital's bottom line. This is a money grab and nothing else. This is an organization that is not fully contributing to our community and needs to be held accountable.
Awesome. Councilmember Bam, very good. Councilmember Conley Wilson.
Yeah, I mean, Emily, Councilmember Men, did hit a lot of the topics I wanted to talk about, but I just wanted to say that like the services that are provided here in this birthing unit are very, very different than the services that will be provided at Albany Med and in Albany, because it's an integrated place where you can have different kinds of people advocating for you. There's been like an Instagram account putting together these stories from women and people who have given birth about their experience, and it's monumental and life-changing, and a place where they don't feel pressured, they feel like okay and safe and vulnerable to do one of the most amazing things you could do on this planet. And I also want to point out that Samaritan and Trinity Health and St. Peter's, when they merged, they said they would not close any of these resources. We can't let them do this. It's really, and I'm still very like upset and frazzled by this, especially because it's like people that look like me are going to be marginalized the most. People with my background are going to be marginalized the most. And people without resources, people in the rural issues. And I mean, some of the most rural issues and urban issues, like in terms of food, health, all of that, we have the same issues happening. It's an issue of access and like quality care and quality of life. So, let's not leave out Rensselaer County whatsoever. But I also think about what Eric Wisher said, like, what is our plan? And I don't really know what we would do otherwise, but plenty of ideas. I don't know if there's a way for us to like support a birthing unit, or if that would be a county thing, or what that would be. But it's really disgusting to kind of see this kind of go down, and I really want to figure out what can we do. And not everyone has access to a vehicle. Not everyone can get to Samaritan or get to Albany in 15 minutes, and this is really going to impact a lot of people and families in Troy.
Could not say it better.
Council President.
Councilmember Soriento, very, very good.
So I had, with my older daughter, I had a traumatic experience where I almost lost her at birth. And it really was by the minute. When she was born, she was given oxygen. We had respiratory rate, come in. She was given oxygen for 2 minutes, she started breathing on her own, or no, 3 minutes. And then she started breathing on her own after 2. If that escalated to 5 minutes, she would have been brain dead. I mean, minutes really matter. And so if you are going to wait in line, trying to be seen over in Albany Med or St. Peter's, I mean, this is a life or death matter. And if anyone ever experienced what I experienced, I mean, they would lose their child. And that's terrible. It's unacceptable.
Thank you, Councilmember Soriento. Further discussion? I'm a product of Samaritan. I was born in Samaritan. My first son was born in Samaritan. Paulie, and he had flipped. So they had to do C-section emergency. But saying that, this is just unacceptable, and Council Member Conley Wilson and Eric and others have talked about the plan. The problem is, we don't even know St. Peter's plan. I mean, how do we
don't think
talk
they have
about
one.
plan
They don't
when
have
they've had no communication with us? And it's just, the whole thing is unacceptable. It's outrageous. And we have to stand up, and we have to get others to join us to say, no, you are keeping this open. So let's continue. Let's not stop here, and let's join forces, strength in numbers. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I think I needed a motion in a second.
So moved.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Perfect. 7 ayes, 0 no's. Resolution 63 passes.
Thank you, Maria, keeping us on our toes. I will take a motion to adjourn. Motion, everybody.
Do
Is
we
there
have
a
a
second?
public forum at the end?
Oh, public forum, I apologize. Thank you.
Again,
From Tim, coming through. Would anyone out in the audience like to speak at our second public forum, which allows you to speak on any item, any issue here in the city of Troy? And no shame issue cannot speak. Okay. All right, I'll take a motion to adjourn. Motion, Councilmember Gully. Is there a second? Second, Councilmember Soriento. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right. I gotta tell you, I